Okay, now types of web services available for us. Okay, there are two kinds of web services. So if I go back to my notepad, so if you can talk to the web service, the communication which you are making from your own website to web service matters. Okay, if you communicate with the web service using SOAP protocol, don't worry what is SOAP protocol. I'm going to explain it clearly in our coming lectures. So if you communicate with our web service using SOAP protocol, and if the response what web service gives in SOAP protocol, then that kind of web services are called SOAP web services. Okay, the full form of SOAP is Simple Object Access Protocol. This is one kind of web service. Okay, so if this web service accepts SOAP protocol messages, then you could say that that web service is a SOAP web service. And there is one more web service which is REST. If this web service expects the data as a REST style, okay, I cannot say as a REST as a protocol, but it's a REST architectural style. So that stands for representational state transfer. If it expects in REST style and it responds us back in REST style, then those web services are called REST services or REST APIs. As I said, web services are subset of APIs. You can also use a term API instead of web service. Okay, so those are REST APIs. Now, so both are equally important because in real time all the companies have SOAP services as well as REST services. Okay, in the latest technology they are more dependent on REST services, but there are some traditional services which are being developed from last 20 years and they were on SOAP services only. So this will not die, but this is getting more popular. If you sit in a company in a position of API testing, you will definitely come across the both web services. There is no company which possesses only REST, but there are companies which possess only SOAP because REST is recently emerging. Okay, so you have to have a knowledge on both web services. So when I say knowledge on both web services, I mean to say knowledge on web services testing. You should know how to test SOAP web services. You should also know how to test REST web services or REST APIs. Okay, so that you have to understand. So in this course, we have divided our course into two parts. The first part will be completely focusing on SOAP services, and the second part will be completely focusing on REST services. Okay, we just don't get panic that where SOAP UI tool comes into picture here. So basically SOAP UI tool is used to test these web services. We will use that tool as our IDE to test our SOAP and REST web services. But for the first part of a course, we will be picking SOAP web services and understand how to test them in the SOAP UI tool. In our second part of the course, we will be using REST APIs and understand how to test them in SOAP UI tool. Okay, but I request you to start sequential manner. Okay, just don't jump into REST in the middle of the course because we have discussed a lot of SOAP UI tool features in the part 1. So when we are dealing part 2, I would just say that as we have already discussed in part 1. Okay, because I don't want to duplicate the effort just to increase the hours of training. So whatever every minute you learn, it should be unique and helpful. So that's the reason. Please follow sequence so that you will have a better understanding of SOAP and REST by end of this tutorial. Okay, so let's concentrate on only SOAP services for now. I'll park this as a side and I'll talk once we are done with this. Probably section 4 or section 5 we are going to begin this. There I will start from introduction of what are REST services and how to deal with those all. Okay, so basically SOAP protocol uses XML as an underlying language for sending a request to service and to get a response back to website, whereas REST uses JSON as an underlying language. Okay, so now for the first part, let's focus on the SOAP services and how the requests are sent through XML and how do we get responses and all. Okay, so now when you get inside the SOAP, the full form of this is Simple Object Access Protocol. Okay, so now what is SOAP protocol? So when I say we will talk to web services using SOAP protocol, then what exactly that mean? So basically these web services expects a standard, a protocol for receiving and sending a message. Okay, you cannot just send simply that I need Paris hotels. Okay, there should be some standard, right? So that web service can understand what exactly you are asking. So that standard is defined by this SOAP. Full form stands for Simple Object Access Protocol. These guys came up with protocol which makes a standard in sending a request to web service. Okay, so that developers also write a code in such a manner that this web service understands the SOAP standard and interprets and do the required validations from their official website. Okay, so developers also tweak and write web service based upon SOAP standards, as it is a SOAP web service. Okay, so what is that standard? What is the protocol we have to use to send the data to web service as a request? Okay, that we will be seeing now. But just don't get confused between SOAP and SOAP UI tool. Okay, SOAP UI tool is used to test these web services, but SOAP is a protocol is used for sending and receiving messages between web service. I see most of the students confused between this SOAP word, thinking both are same. Okay, SOAP UI tool is different, SOAP services are different. Okay, so what is SOAP protocol? If you see the definition here, it is a protocol for sending and receiving messages between applications, okay, without any interoperability issues. That means like without having it could be different operating system or it could be different platform language tool, whatever it is. For sending and receiving messages, there is a protocol, there is a standard which you have to follow, which SOAP gives us. As I said, underlying language used by SOAP is XML. Okay, so here let's see what is the structure of the SOAP message and what the standard looks like in this link, because this link I found it very useful, which clearly gave about the structure. Let me take to this website first. Right, so the structure of SOAP message. So basically SOAP message have envelope, header, body and fault. Okay, so envelope is a root element for every SOAP message. So basically in envelope we will define, when I say we have to reach this web service, this should be hosted somewhere on internet, I mean on www, right? So this web service should be somewhere so that you can send your request to that web service and get a response and paste it in your website. Okay, that request is hosted on one link and we will generally say that as an endpoint. So endpoint is a terminology we use. Okay, this is a point where web service is hosted. To talk to there, you have to provide this endpoint to your SOAP message, so that when you send this message, SOAP actually reads that endpoint and go to that particular server link and then submit message to that web service. Okay, that endpoint details all will go as part of envelope. So you can see that first envelope will be there and thereafter header. Header is all about if you have any cookies or if you want to send any cookies or some kind of information which regarding to that web service. Okay, more about that I will be talking when I have taken example. So for now just understand how does it looks. And body is what exactly we send the data we need. So in this case we need to send Paris, okay, because we need Paris destination hotels to display, so that we send as a body. Okay, and fault is nothing but whenever you get error, the response is also SOAP message, right? You will see as a fault tag. Okay, when you see this keyword in your response, that means there is some error with your web service. Okay, I'm just explaining this in broad level. Do not worry about how to create a SOAP message. Okay, because soap UI tool takes care of it. I'm just giving you this for a knowledge purpose only. Now this is a simple example, and these guys is a flight website. Okay, so this is like reverse. Hotels.com is using flights. Okay, so they are sending departing New York, arriving Los Angeles at this date, departure time late afternoon, and seat preference aisle. Okay, with these details in the soap body, it is talking to, maybe take an example, it could be talking to any airline website, for example British Airways. Okay, so these details British Airways API will interpret and send the results back as a SOAP message again to hotels.com website. This is reverse of what we thought. Okay, so the information what we are sending will be part as a body. You see that body tag starts here and closes here in the SOAP. In the header, these guys are using about some details like a name, reservation, date and time, reference. Okay, this could be optional thing. And envelope, they actually have the link where exactly this API is hosted, this web service is hosted. Okay, so this is like a basic SOAP UI template, sorry, SOAP message template. So if you send in this template, service can interpret and it talks to their official website and give us a response. But in real time, you need not worry about creating this SOAP message. Okay, SOAP UI tool will give you all this tool template and structure. What all you need to do is fill these values, that's all. New York, Los Angeles, late afternoon, aisle. So in SOAP UI tool, when you import, I'll tell you how to use the web service in SOAP UI tool. That tool will give you all this structure with blanks here. You have to fill these blanks with the values. Okay, so that's an easy. That's why we depend upon tools like SOAP UI. Okay, so if we can create our own SOAP body and SOAP request, and then what is the use of tools like SOAP UI? Okay, they have to help us in doing all this, right? So in our coming lectures, we'll clearly see how that tool can generate all these for us. Okay, so this is like high level overview of how a SOAP message looks like. You can bookmark this link as a handy to understand what is the envelope, header, body, and how does the body looks like. All right, so in the next lecture, let's continue and talk about one more and most of the important topic, which is a WSDL. Okay, thank you.